upstairs and a downstairs, and could accommodate up to 10 people. She was only renting out the top part for 2 people, which was all we needed. About a month before our visit, I noticed there wasn't a washer-dryer listed, and we'd be there for 4 nights. I messaged her asking if she knew where the closest laundromat was. I googled it, but didn't see any within 30 miles. No response. voice recorder. I couldn't recreate any of it. I couldn't have it. I didn't have any of my equipment with me because I was on vacation. I've never seen my husband pack so fast in my life. Like I said, our host was always on the ball about messaging me. I had already left a nice review. And what am I going to write? There were doors slamming and chanting and light flickering and everything. So I messaged her and told her that I had already left a good review. But I wanted to know if any other guests had ever had any odd experiences in the house. Crickets. Nothing. Not thanks for the review. No. What kind of odd experiences? Nothing like that, just silence. I still made my husband stop at the Mothman Museum and Bell Witch Farm on the way home. A commenter wrote a little information about the Appalachian Mountains. I grew up in West Virginia. My home was in between the mountains. The Appalachian Mountains cover all of West Virginia. Anyway, I've heard stories growing up, but never saw or heard anything. Whistling is a good sign that a person could be effing with you or trying to cause you harm. Silence is never good in the forest. Predators. But many Appalachian folks say, if you heard something, no you didn't. If you see something, no you didn't. They also believe that you should never acknowledge or whistle back. Continue with what you're doing without rushing and go back home, close the blinds, lock the doors like it's just something you have always done. Never say it out loud or mention the experience out loud to anyone. That is also acknowledging it. Old Appalachian folk magic and tales. They believe whistling at night can summon evil spirits, and acknowledging a whistle will bring them to you. Maybe you don't believe in witches or demons, but a lot of Appalachian folks do. If you do, then rosemary or thyme are great for warding off evil spirits. But those are just stories. Like I said, I grew up in Appalachian mountains of West Virginia and never experienced whistling. However, many of the older folk and people I know have. Do what you want with the information, but better safe than sorry. Buy a gun, baseball bat, hunting knife, bear spray, or pepper spray, just in case it is a wild animal or a person. Stay safe out there. These are some rules. Another commenter said this. A few rules I've heard, some of which may be widespread, while some of which may be exclusive to Appalachians. After dusk, whistle when you pass a graveyard to stop spirits from following you. 2. Conversely, hold your breath when passing a graveyard so you don't breathe in someone's soul. You'll be able to tell which of the two is appropriate. When you're a visitor, leave the person's house by the same door you entered, or you're inviting bad things into their home. If you hear or sense something in your home while you're in bed, pretend to be asleep. Do not leave the bed until sunrise for anything if this happens. Do not sleep on your back if you are in bed alone. If you look into a mirror too long, you might bring something unsavory into your home. Make sure you have a tank full of gas if you're driving at night in the rain. Sometimes you'll find yourself on a road that goes on much longer than it should, and you will be the only car on this road. Do not stop your car when this happens. You have to keep driving at least until you see another car. That's how you know it's safe and everything is back to normal. If you hear tapping on your window, do nothing to let it know you hear it. Whistling in your house after sunset is an invitation for spirits to come inside. If you're camping and your tent mate suddenly sits up and wants to talk, pretend to be asleep. It isn't my sister just had us tag along. Anyway, we're driving on the freeway and we see a carnival with rides. The Zipper, that crazy unsafe ride with the cages that spin, could be seen, as well as the Ferris wheel. Me and my cousin were begging my sister to please take us. She said no, and made the same exit. It was the same exact exit to head right onto some main road. The carnival was situated to the left. On the ramp, we were at the red light, and my sister said she promised we'll go after she returned the shirt. And my older cousin needed to buy these shoes on sale. This was before smartphones and stuff, but like late 90s. Besides myself, everyone in my family knew my sister was always amazing with directions. She even told us she knew exactly where to park, so we didn't have to walk far or deal with traffic. I specifically remember that when walking into the mall, we could sense a very strange smell of the carnival elephant ears / corn dogs and stuff. We go into the mall for no more than half an hour, and walking into my sister's truck, me and my younger cousin were so excited and happy. All of a sudden, I remember noticing I didn't smell the carnival anymore. It was probably just my excitement, so I didn't say anything. We get in the car and made our way around the loopy parking lots and inner streets to finally get onto the same road we came on. The second we turned, there was nothing but a continuing road on both ends of the freeway exits. Nothing but a continuing road on both ends of the freeway exits. No large gates blocking traffic, no large shut it. Nothing broken or knocked over. The next morning he went outside to look for a blood trail or tracks, and there was absolutely nothing. My grandpa isn't the type to make up stories or exaggerate. He's a very straightforward, old school, say it like it is kind of guy. To this day, he says he has no idea what that thing was, but he knows it wasn't like any animals he's ever seen. I think I'll do one more short one. This one is called I Think I Almost Died on Some Paranormal Property. This one's creepy. By user remote underscore sheepherder 28. This one's creepy. This was almost 2 years ago now. I had a new job doing lawn care with an old friend. Basically, we'd spot spray for weeds, dump fertilizer, and operate vehicles to aerate and spread seed for the grass. Boring stuff. This was mostly for well-to-do people, big houses, lots of land. But there was one place that felt off. I couldn't put my finger on why. Just felt a strange, eerie feeling, really hilly area, big enough to have a tennis court hiding away in the back, like it was some afterthought. I was new to the vehicles we had to use, but I always sped through every area sloppily, just like trying to get the job done quickly. This place had a hill so steep that I capsized. That I capsized my aerator trying to make it over. It fell forward miraculously, and I got bucked off like I had been riding a bull. If it had fallen backwards, which was just as likely if not more so, I'd be dead or at least paralyzed from the waist down. I remember having this adrenaline rush, popping the thing back up, and looking around to see if anyone had seen me. Somehow no one did, but I continued on like nothing happened, a little shaken up but relieved. I didn't think much of it until months later when I returned to the property. It took me a few moments, but I remembered the area and felt really uneasy once we parked our 2 trucks. When we opened the first truck, chemicals from our weed killer backpacks gushed out of the back onto the driveway, making this huge puddle. My boss was understandably irritated, assuming someone left one on, causing the spill. But when we checked the backpacks, all 3 of them were on. It was strange, but we chalked it up to thoughtlessness. Then we opened up the second truck. 3 more backpacks, all switched on with blue light. I remember telling my boss that every single backpack was on and him just looking confused, saying that's no good. We had 4 people on the job and 6 backpacks turned on. There's just no way that goes unnoticed, especially by my boss who was a stickler for that kind of thing. There was this unspoken feeling between my friend and I that something was wrong, like there was some weird energy clinging to us. I could see in his face that he was kind of uncomfortable. Afterwards, I told him that was where I almost died, and it definitely spooked us, but we never talked about it again. It's not a scary story, but it's one that kind of creeps me